Hi, and welcome to another episode of A Rockstar Take On. And today we're discussing a rockstar take on core culture. Um, and core culture is actually not, even though it has been, for me personally, a very useful terms in a couple of months, a couple of, I don't know, the last few months, um, to kind of think about things. It's not a well known term or used term or let alone a viral term. So I'm going to explain it a little bit and get to the story why I think this is an interesting topic to have a rockstar take on. So the theory comes from this book, Daniel Deardorff. That's not where I read it, and it's also not where I was able to find it. Just flipping through, there are no like schedules or anything in here. But I got the term from a therapist and a writer called Melissa West, and she said that she had the term from this. So I bought the book, and because I did want to give you a reference if you want to know more. So I'll put the full name in from the book and the author below. So the term core culture and outer rim are from this book, and the outer rim is the way I imagine it is that it has similarities to the outer rim from the Star Wars movies. So in the Star Wars movies, I would say the First Order and the Resistance or the Rebellion is are both part of core culture, and the people in the outer rim who are actually named people from the outer rim. So these are people that are on planets or in different star systems that are so far away from the galaxy from Star Wars that they don't have to obey to the rule of the First Order. So therefore, they also don't have to join the resistance to have their freedom. So in Star Wars, I think it's very well explained how that works. Like, the majority of people are in core culture, meaning they're either part of the dominant system of society, so the people in charge, which is in Star Wars the First Order, or they're part of the resistance or the rebellion against the reigning um, um, group. Um, and then the people in the outer rim are the people who are so far away from that. And I don't mean that for people on Earth that you have to live in another galaxy in order to live in the outer rim of the societies on Earth, the core culture on Earth. But here on Earth, it's people who have positioned themselves on Earth in a way so that they don't have to uh, fight uh, uh, um, the powers that be wherever they live in order to be free. So 99% of us are born in core culture. So very few of us will have parents who have positioned themselves in freedom outside of core culture, outside of society, and were born there. Few of us will, but most of us will not. So there are really only two options. Either you you stay in the outer or you stay in core culture happily or unhappily. Happily, usually when you are part of like the first order of wherever you live. So when you're part of the you know, the groups that are in charge, then you maybe you'll be happy, and and if you're on the other end where everything was taken from you, then you probably will not be happy. But either way, the first option is you stay there within core culture, the core culture where you and the other 99% of the people on earth are born, or you move to the outer rim, either because you meet someone who is an outer rim dweller, or because you just kind of like with planets, you know, like the planet of Pluto was not discovered until the beginning of the 20th century, but they had already calculated that it would be there. Maybe you're someone who has calculated like that the outer rim exists, and that's why you move there, or that's why you go searching. Maybe you buy this book, or you watch this video, or so there's only two options. Or like in all likelihood, you're born in a core culture, either with the dominant party, kind of like the first order of our day, within those groups, or you're born within the rebellion, the resistors, the people who had everything taken from them. And then you have the option, either you stay there, or you move to the outer rim. Like, those are the two options. Now, a rock star, or my interpretation of the rock star take on core culture, is that the rock star is someone who has positioned themselves outside of core culture in the outer rim, but they shine so brightly that they can be seen by the people in core culture. So it is because of the rock star that people realize, hey, there's life out there. Like, I don't have to stay here because I can see that there. I can see the star, the rock star there. There is an outer rim. There is a place to go, or there is a place I can look to, and just like when you're in the sea and you look at the stars, you can navigate. You can locate where you are. I think that rock stars have the same function in modern day society. It is because of the rock star, and like I speak about rock stars, but like it goes for other proverbial stars as well. It is because we see those people within our galaxy in a totally different position than we are. Like they seem, we know they are kind of like part of our world in the same way that the planets and stars are part of our world. But at the same time, they're not on our world. We know that, you know, we're not going to run into Venus at the grocery store because Venus is a star at the sky, at the galaxy. So I think that this concept of core culture surrounded by people who have positioned themselves outside of core culture, and if those people are stars, then that means that they shine so brightly that we can see them from when we are in core culture. We can see them, and we realize, hey, there is a whole galaxy outside there that is above the limited views that we have in core culture about, well, about who's on top. Is it the First Order, or is it the rebellion? Is it the resistance, like in Star Wars? Like, we can have that fight over here, but as soon as you see someone, at the sky, between the other stars, then it expands your mind, and you're like, oh, or I can, maybe I can position myself there. So there's a whole world out there where maybe I can be, or I can aspire to be. So um, the concept of core culture, as well as the concept of the outer rim, are not very well known. To, like, everything I say here is kind of like my take on it now in December 2024. It may change, um, and I certainly hope that someone like better better at, I don't know, everything than me will think about it as well, and I don't know, make it big or something. Because I think that it's very important to realize that all the experiences you have in core culture, all the advice that you get, all the rules that you have to obey, written and, unwritten, silent rules, that they are so typical for the core culture where you were born into. And that it really depends on your personality and who you are, if that system is going to work for you or if it is not. So I think that in general, most people will I think the problem with the core culture is that we don't know that we're in there, and that we don't know how heavily it kind of like, we don't know what the price tag is, what the price is that we're paying in order to be a part of core culture. So in the Netherlands, if you would look like, I don't know, like 40 years ago or something, 50 years ago, it was still very much, there was a lot of repression for girls, so they could not freely sexually develop themselves. They could even before that, they could just not develop themselves, period. So they didn't get education. um, they could not develop themselves financially. They were fired when they got married. um, so there was all kinds of restrictions, which ultimately all either they were lifted, the restrictions, or they were less strict, or more girls were able to develop themselves. But these girls were paying a price in order to be protected by their family or by their tribe. And that is really a kind of like an example of the dynamics within core culture. So you're born into core culture, and then you are also protected by it, but because the value system and the is so kind of like ingrained in the social structures that you were born into, it's very hard to really make a conscious choice if it's worth the price you're paying. So these girls, like for some girls, it would be fine. Like, they would thrive within the opportunities that they were given. And for other girls, it would be a disaster. It would be like their personality, their talents, everything that they would have been able to do if they had been born into freedom, instead of in core culture was smothered. And yeah, it's like they couldn't really develop themselves. They couldn't really live the life they were supposed to live. So the survival mechanism within core culture is to play by the rules of core culture, and in return you get protection. Now, obviously, just like with the First Order and with rebellion, um, if you are in the dominant side of your core culture, then it's the rules are different than if you're in the non-dominant part. And you can also how do you say that, like, get a better position within core culture. So I think it's called economic mobility. I think that is the word. So it's like so there is a lot of you can really change position within core culture. You can start developing yourself within core culture against the odds and against all the regulations. But for some of us, it's better to know that there is like the outer rim where you have a completely different set of rules. So the rules that keep you safe within core culture are entirely different to the rules that will keep you safe in the outer rim. Because in the outer rim, it's about your ability to sustain yourself and to to act autonomously. That is the survival skill that is required in the outer rim. So you hear of people who are rock stars and other stars. You hear how difficult that is. Well, why is that? Because everybody they know is still in core culture, and they are there, and they are very aware about their responsibilities, and they're very aware about how big the world is, and they have to kind of like hold themselves there, even though the majority of all the people that they know is in core culture. Their business is probably built in core culture. Maybe they have family that they have taken to the outer rim, and they kind of like have a household that feels like a different world, where everybody feels that kind of like empowerment and that kind of like autonomy. So the this video is really created so that you have a kind of like a concept of, where am I? Am I one of the people who is already in the outer rim? So am I kind of like aware of how big life is, how big the universe is? Am I aware of how relative the struggles, the power struggles in core culture are? That, from looked from afar, it's, I wouldn't say it's nothing, but it's not the whole world. It's not all there is. That's it's not all there is. So am I in the outer rim? Because if I am, then I must work or keep an eye on my autonomy and on my kind of like the survival skills and the developmental skills that are useful in the outer rim. Or am I in core culture? And if I am in core culture, then where is it limiting me? Probably more than it needs to in order to still be a part of it. How can I be a productive um, member of this core culture? Or how can I be a loving member of this core culture? Maybe even how can I be a creative member? How can I contribute something? How can I create something here? And um, and how do I stay safe? How do I relate to the difficult and often difficult um, uh, to the to the demands that this culture um, asks of me in order to be allowed to be here and to be safe here. So yeah. That was a very complicated topic, wasn't it? um yeah, do I have a very like kind of like an interesting way to close it? I don't think so. I don't think I have an interesting way to close it. No. It's still a very clunky, not very yeah. I wouldn't say not well thought through because did give it a lot of thought, but like this is the level where I came in these past few 2 months or something. I think I now know the term. So yeah, that was the rockstar take on core culture. And well, what shall we have as our next topic? Yeah, how about sexuality? How about I think we deserve a very juicy subject after this difficult core culture outer rim video essay. So see you in the next one with a rockstar take on sexuality. Okay, see you there. Bye.